Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Mr. Barrows and, of course, Bigfoot's Barber Shop have again found their way into the darkness of the Fox Den for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy. Yes, Mr. Barrows did bring me some excellent feasting material because I have been so hungry. Absolutely delicious. And now that this has been taken care of and my shackles have been fully released, it is time for Mr. Barber and, of course, Mr. Barrows and myself to take a walk into the madness.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on LordeStarfox Radio. Of course, it's Saturday, so Mr. Barber is already sitting around the late night fire, and he has already set up the timber so that we can burn it into the early hours of the morning. Yet we do have somebody that is from Star Fox past. That is actually somebody I still keep in touch with. Yes, we have Mr. Barrows, who is joining us as well. How you doing tonight, Barrows?
Doing good, man. I'm all things considering, my spirit is high. Like, my physical condition where I'm at might not be the best condition, but I have a feeling things are going to change in that aspect. But I'm not going to get too much into my my life right now because that's not why I'm here. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty busy like always. Good to hear you are doing well. I'm just editing, chilling with you guys for a few before round 2, watching some hockey, and I'll probably be up till maybe 2 or 3 just editing.
Sounds awesome, man. Keeping it extra creepy.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. Hashtag
Yeah.
right there. Barber, how you doing, man?
We're doing good. Everything came in, as you saw my little post teasing the Wolverine costume.
Yep.
So Comic-Con is right around the corner. I dug out all the Bigfoot stuff. So, potential hitting new places where there's potential Dogman and Bigfoot activities. So who knows? Maybe I'll be a guest on our own show talking about Dogman activity.
Yeah, that would be some pretty gnarly stuff. Well, sounds like you've been staying busy too. This is great stuff. Mr. Barrows, go ahead and dive into what happened to you and what you potentially thought happened. Afterwards, fire away some questions at us and we will try to figure out what it is you potentially had a encounter with per se.
All right, man. Sounds good. So I was doing DoorDash at this point in time. I did it like not on an everyday basis, but like, on nights when I was up late, couldn't sleep or whatever, having a good time. And I happened to be driving and I was coming up along this hill and I saw what looked like, I don't know if it was like a possum at first or like It could have been a possum. It could have been something else that's small like that. But then as it was crossing the street and I stopped, all of a sudden, like, it disappeared. And then there was like almost like what you'd see, like a werewolf like structure, like bent over, but like I could almost see visually through it at the same time. And then once it crossed the road, because I stopped and like my eyes are just wide open at this point. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Hoping this thing doesn't turn around and look at me while I'm stopped. And it crosses, and then boom, it's back to like the possum again. I have no idea what it was. I've heard from other sources that they think it could have been like a skinwalker or something like that, but I have no idea. I just know it was one of the most intense things I've ever seen and ever come upon. And I honestly would like to see something like that again, but not up super close.
Uh, Yikes. That's pretty bizarre stuff right there. Is there anything else that had happened after that, or would you like me to potentially give you, per se, some thoughts I have before we hear what Mr. Barber thinks?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say. Give it a little breakdown.
All right. From how we try to break it down here, no pun intended, at the North American Dogman Project is either paranormal, extraterrestrial, or flesh and blood. Obviously, meaning here, like you and I or the rest of us, okay? It's got to play by the same
Yep.
rules. When it comes to skinwalkers, a lot of people don't realize, because we deal with a lot of the indigenous cultures, just to make sure we are correct, we have a lot of indigenous individuals that work with our science team as well, just to make sure that we are properly documenting their lore, per se, through their words, not any other translation. It's just a way to show respect, because throughout history, a lot of their lore was translated in improper ways, which is why now indigenous cultures don't write down their history. It's a vocalization aspect. That way they're able to control and make sure that the narrative is correct. That even if it wasn't intentional, a lot of times when it was written down by Western cultures and things, we accidentally, or maybe even purposely, change the narrative a bit. All right. When we do talk to our Native American specialists that deal with the skinwalkers, one thing with them is that if you listen to the translations of the different words that tie in with skinwalker, it means he or she that walks on all fours, right? And if you dive into the lore of what skinwalkers are, they are not something per se that would change into a raging beast, because you have to get the pelt that you are trying to take the form of. Meaning, if you are diving into the dark arts of skinwalking and wanted to become a bear or a coyote or a wolf, you need to go and take that pelt of the animal. If you look at the whole werewolf aspect, that is much more deeply carved in and woven into European history, per se, with the whole shape-shifting, the loup garou, which we'll get into that at some other point in time. But back now to the skinwalking thing, there's also members of our science team that have a theory, whereas what if they are using a form of glamoring, okay? Which, if, nerd life here, right? If you look at any sort of vampire thing, you know how they can glam people, more or less, make you see or think what it is they want you to see. Well, what if these skinwalkers are able to control more or less what it is that we're seeing? Sure, what if it took on the form of the possum? Because that would be easy to get the pelt of the possum. But then what if it, per se, was causing the illusion of something in a werewolf form, just to more or less dictate that in your direction? Yet when you talk about like the plasma and like the almost see-through aspect, that sounds a lot like the paranormal, potentially extraterrestrial stuff that like Linda Godfrey, rest in peace, and others have dove into talking about that.
Oh man, that's thank you for all that information. I wasn't completely sure. The other thing that I thought too is that because a lot of people say like this world is like a simulation and whatnot, and I almost wonder if something like bleeped through that I happened to catch, like I just happened to be at the right frequency at the right time at the right place, and you know what I mean, and it just bleeped through from another dimension almost. You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. In just a second, I'm going to let Mr. Barber chime in on that, because he dives way more into that type of dimensional process of when we approach this. I do know that a
Awesome.
lot of my hosts and guests and friends that have been potentially having issues with what we call the Dogman. Same thing. They literally have tracks that just disappear in the middle of nowhere, meaning if there was trees around or houses or rocks, then it climbs somewhere. But we're talking about in the middle of a cornfield where poof, it's just gone now. And there's no burrows around like a dug somewhere. None of that stuff. These tracks just are vanished. And then there's other times where people say like what you saw, it looks like plasma, almost like a Halo character, like the Covenant, right? When it
Yes,
hasn't
yes, yes.
manifested itself,
Exactly.
right? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, man. Barber, what do you think?
The dimensional thing is always gets complex, to say the least, because you get footprints that disappear and beings that walk behind the tree and all of a sudden they're gone. You know, they go somewhere. I'm on the fence whether it's another dimension or just like a portal to another place in this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it'd be
yeah,
like walking in
definitely.
a portal from here and ending up in New York City. So,
That's a
I mean,
really
there
cool
are other
outlook on it,
dimensions.
man.
They've proven that. So we know, but, you know, I'm just on the fence as far as is there a dimension of all Bigfoot, a dimension of all Dogmen, blah, blah, blah. Or the combination of the two. You know, I'm more the flesh and blood. As far as, you know, it really sounds like paranormal to me. You know, where you're talking the plasma into something like a possum, you know, so you get into the paranormal mystical aspects of it, you know, then you're looking more to me like like Skinwalker stuff.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, thank you for your input, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you coming on and sharing everything so far.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I don't know if you are aware, Mr. Barrows, that every year, not including Alaska, anywhere from 1,100 to 2,400 people just go missing in national forests, near cave systems, near areas that are densely populated with trees. And in these areas, well, if you look at these strange sightings that we've documented throughout the Google Maps with the pings, we have these strange footprints, strange audio, all kinds of very bizarre stuff. We still have not even remotely updated the pings because that's something I need to do. That I have only one version of me. I've failed to train my squirrel to edit yet. Okay, so she cannot do any of that stuff. I wish Miss Squirrel was here, but she would probably just edit a bunch of videos of peanuts and things, right? But either way, yes, I have a book that's 555 pages at the moment of encounters and sightings throughout the globe, yet I still have so much more to update in that book. But then from the book, we got to then go into Google at some point and update all those pings. But if you were to sandwich all those together, meaning the cave systems, the national forest, the missing people, the Dogman sightings, boom, it literally fits perfect together like a sandwich. It's so messed up. And I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe in things that are ironic. I'm a scientific based mind. Those are all facts right there. People are missing. Here's where they're missing. Near cave systems. All right, we got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, man, I believe that 100%. And you know, it's unfortunate that I think most people are so quick to be like, "Oh, that's crazy talk," instead of actually doing some of the research themselves, finding out for themselves. You know what I mean?
Of course. The problem is, my friend, you just got to brush those type of individuals off and realize that people that are going to say something like that usually are more simple-minded, meaning they don't have the capability to analyze information properly and think outside of the box. Meaning, the reason I formed opinions that I have on certain topics is because I have a science team that are all great friends of mine and they're all brilliant. and I love to learn. All right. No matter what I'm doing, even if it's TV or anything for the most part, I would like to gain knowledge. I love it. The reason I make sure to sit down and communicate with my science team and such is, well, they have excellent information. They have analytics. They have data that proves certain aspects. Well, people can call you crazy for thinking that a portal exists. Well, again, can I prove that? No, but I have watched numerous geniuses and astrophysicists, all kinds of insanely smart individuals break down how certain types of energy and correct scenarios and things that make my mind go poof like a SpongeBob character. All right. Yet these people are understanding this, saying that in theory, yes, this could all work properly. Okay. Well, if it was just one person, all right, sure, you might want to look into other sources. Yet this is coming from many brilliant people, all right? And it's no different than when I do my own research on something. Sure, I see it on National Geographics. I love Nat Geo. They're credible to me, but I would like to dive a little bit deeper. Oh, wait a second. Animal Planet's done something similar on this topic. Oh, Discovery has now? Wait, BBC? Also the Smithsonian. Okay, now I'm really going to take this as something credible, not meaning if it just came from Nat Geo, it is incredible, but that also gives a little bit more leniency to have something prefabricated, like the whole Discovery Channel thing when they claimed they had found mermaid people inside of the great white shark. One of the scientists that was actually an actor got invited to, I believe, Good Morning America, and he legit had to decline and be like, look, I'm an actor. This was not real, because Discovery Channel just pretty much put it out, and because they're Discovery Channel, people automatically assumed, which assumptions aren't good, that this was factual. So that's what I mean about making sure to always do the proper background searches on things,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
because there's a ton of brilliant information out there. It's just making sure to be able to filter through it. And what I was saying too is just a lot of people don't want to think outside the box. All right, they're comfortable with being told what to do. Here, working this point in time, coming home, working with my family, bringing my kids here, etc. Repeat. I like to learn when things are presented to me. I'm like, wait a second. All right, this doesn't add up. When you start to explain to people, they're like, wait, what? That many people go missing? And it's like, yeah, where have you been? You've been paying attention to too much of general information, I feel.
Yeah, unfortunately too, with when it comes to that, is that even if people that are out there that are like on the fence or like think it's somewhat true, they'd rather just pretend like that it's not. You know what I mean? It's easy to pretend that something that significant isn't really going on, because then that can stuff like this can like collapse someone's whole mentality in a sense, depending on the person. If that makes any sense.
Of course it does. I mean, if you look back at, I use this example numerous times, and I believe it was H.G. Stockwell, because I was unable to, in other examples, use his name properly. He wrote the book War of the Worlds. Well, everyone was coming home around 4 or 5, and this was on one of the radio stations being broadcasted. All these people assumed it was the real end of the world. Well, maybe you should have changed to another radio station first, or maybe checked other, things besides this one station. And they were
Right.
doing insane things, jumping out of the house with their family and just doing insane things because they didn't want to be taken away, by the aliens. All right. So now think if they really know what's taking people in national forests and such. I mean, how are people going to handle that, right? Here, I'll cut a little promo. Come to Yellowstone National Park. Let's check out the amazing scenery. We got the beautiful bison. And wait, we even have the potentially dangerous grizzly. But hold on a second. What's really going to make you want to come here and go camping all by yourself late at night? We have a 6 to 9 foot tall, crazy canine like creature that we don't really know how to control. But don't worry. Hey, you can spend the weekend. What do you think people are going to do? They're going to go insane.
Right. That's exactly true, man.
It's, one of those things.
This year I've had like the most unreal year, like aside from, you know, the passing of my son, rest in peace. But like I'll just start with another one that's a little bit, it's not super weird, but it was weird when I saw it. So you know how at the bottom of the hamlet there's that, you know, the basketball courts and everything else down there?
Yes.
Okay, well, I was walking down there one night and I started seeing these lights. Now, at first I was like, is there someone in the woods? Like, you know, what are they, you know, out there, you know, up to no good or whatnot? And then as I started walking across, another light would light up, another light would light up, and I realized they were lightning bugs, but they lit up every step I took all the way towards the end of the park, one by one by one.
Interesting. Brian, what do you think of that, man?
Definitely interesting as far as, you know, it'd be like LordeStarfox says, you know, you don't really believe in coincidences that would, you know, did they wait for you to step or did they light up as you stepped?
They basically lit up as I started going across, but like they weren't like one up in the air, like they were almost in a straight. They were almost in such a straight line that I thought there was a bunch of people with lights out in the in the woods.
Yeah, see, that makes a difference right there because when without that, I'm thinking they're just kind of up and down. It's like, okay, yeah, you know, maybe, but you know, it sounds.
Right.
I mean, so about the size of lightning bugs, because you know sometimes you get orbs that are vary in size, everything from teeny tiny to massive, you know, airplane size orbs that people see over trees. Is that an area known for paranormal activity or anything?
To my knowledge, not. To my knowledge, I don't think so. I don't believe so. But I'm also not going to say that it's not 100%. Because another thing, this is weird. Like I know most people won't believe this, and for a while I didn't believe this either. When I used to walk down that at the bottom of the park, like I was talking about, there used to be that would follow me from one side to the other. At first, I just thought it was a coincidence, like it was going the same way with me, until I started going night after night, in the same time that start following me. So I don't know. Maybe there's something interesting out there that no one really knows about in the public knowledge.
Yeah, that or you got some kind of creeper who's watching people with.
Right, right.
I mean, you know, as sad as it is in today's world, that's not out of the question anymore. That's the problem with technology. You know, the creepers are going to get creepier.
That's 100% true, man. I can't argue that.
You know what's really gnarly too is that obviously, Shane, this was before you came up into the hamlet, and I've never had any sort of paranormal activity, never seen any sort of cryptids. I've just dealt with a few psycho human beings, right? All right. But I just, as I said, realize people are missing, and also have people such as yourself and Mr. Barber and others that come in with reports of things that have occurred. So obviously, being a subjective and objective individual and being an investigative photojournalist, I am just very intrigued by this. Well, picture now if you were to come from where your mom's house would be, right? And you took a right and just walked all the way down towards where we used to live. Picture you just went straight down to where that stop sign was, right? And the woods are in front of you. And if you were to take a left, you'd be going down towards the basketball court, right? Well,
Right.
if you were to go straight now instead of taking that left where that old playground was, there was a path that led really deep into the forest where people would make, I don't know, like forts and things. I believe it was the Doucettes and others. And also there was like a little hockey pond down there. Man, I don't know. I've always had a really great imagination, which is why I'm creative and I'm successful at graphic design, etc. But every time I'd be near that section of the woods, or you know where the baseball field used to be as well, way down by the basketball court, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, both of those areas, I'd always get like a really weird feeling as if, I don't know, man, I felt like I was being watched, and it always seemed like that part of the forest was really quiet and is pretty dense there, man. I mean, I feel like you'd have to walk quite a far way to get to any sort of other people that are near society like that. So yeah, it's pretty bizarre, man.
Yeah. I just wanted to share a couple of quick ones because if you guys cover other types of things, sometimes I'll come on and share some other stories. Like I have, like I said, this last year, there's so much stuff that has happened that like for a long time I had to question myself, question my own sanity if I was actually dealing with what I was dealing with, or if it was just a coincidence. Like for instance, before I think it was before I can't remember if it was before I started DoorDash or if it was during. But when I was still at my mom's at this time, we got I think about 10 DoorDash deliveries that we never ordered, that I think like seven of them, like I think 6 or 7 of them never even had a name on them. And then the other ones had names on them that weren't anything close to my mom or whatnot. So why are people just dropping off random DoorDash bags at my mom's place? Like, how can that be a coincidence 10 times? You know what I'm saying? Isn't that kind of strange?
Again, I'm not one to believe in coincidences. It's not really something that happens in science per se, meaning like my good friend Steve Stockton, his father was a scientist, and sure, every once in a while you get an anomaly that would happen within the laboratory, and then you couldn't replicate it again, right? Meaning if coincidences were a thing, you should be able to then replicate that anomaly again,
Yeah.
which doesn't occur like that. So very interesting and bizarre. I know, Mr. Barber, I can open up a chat with you both afterwards before I head on to my next show, and he has a podcast where he covers all kinds of things. I definitely know he would love to have you as a guest up on there. You would be able to again have another platform where you can share what's occurring. He goes live. You don't have to show your face though. You can just talk like this. I mean, yet here I edit. So like I said, it gives me a little bit more leadway when I would suggest linking up with him as well.
That's awesome, man. I'm really I'm really happy that I decided to do this. I had some reservations at first because it's hard to put yourself out there with certain things. And not that I care that if someone thinks I'm crazy, because like nowadays really who isn't crazy, but like but like I just don't want to put things out there where people are going to think like I'm trying to distort or put out images of something just to get like some type of feedback for myself. Like, this is just real stuff that has happened to me. I'm very excited that I got to come on here and share, because most people, they don't want to listen, they all just want to talk themselves. So I'm very thankful that you gave me the chance to come on here and talk about these things. And man, I wish you nothing but the best for the rest of your time doing this.
Very kind words. I appreciate you. And that's one thing here, man. If I just wanted to listen to myself talk all the time, I would just do my own podcast, my own narrations. It's not something I enjoy doing. I would like my hosts and guests to talk as much as possible. Again, if you don't talk about it, then it just goes undocumented, meaning then no one has a chance to document it. And also, man, you just got to steer clear of people that are going to second guess you, man, and also give you negative vibes. And I'm all about like the good old
Exactly.
dude and being super chill, bro. So all you got to do is present yourself around the proper people that want to help document what's going on. I mean, right, Barber? What do you think, dude?
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to see if I heard something right though. Shane, real quick, did I hear you mention your son in RIP?
Yeah.
My heart breaks for you.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Was that around the
Thank you. I
same time that
appreciate
you
that.
got the DoorDash started showing up?
No, the DoorDash stuff happened. A lot of this stuff actually took place before his passing. The DoorDash thing, I have no idea. Like, at first I thought it was just, someone being nice or whatnot, until like, but it was food that like neither nor like, or at least for the first like 4 or 5 times, that neither my mom nor I would eat, nor am I going to eat something that just comes from some random person that I have no idea what they could have done with the food, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if maybe there was some kind of event that maybe people were trying to donate anonymously or something. But
Yeah, no, that would have been nice, but unfortunately, no, that wasn't that wasn't what was going on.
Pretty bizarre, because that also reminds me of, like, remember when that gentleman, I believe it was somewhere over in Asia, was putting those sodas that some sort of chemical inside, and he left them in the bottom of each soda machine because there was a deal being run where you would buy one and get one free, and a lot of people, because it's a kinder culture, would leave one for the next person, but that's how these people were getting poisoned by that. So yeah, I can totally understand why you wouldn't just eat those. I also, Shane, do you have anything against potentially sitting down and talking to a psychic? Because I have a good friend. Again, I have no experience in any of this. I just know that she's helped Brian here, and he can verify firsthand. I think she could probably definitely help you out if you need certain closures as to something that had occurred to you. And I will also open up a chat with her on Facebook if you're interested. She is awesome, very kind woman.
Man, that would be really cool. And it's so funny that you brought that up, because I'm not gonna lie, I also have things that go on with me on a daily basis that I can't explain, and I'd love to hear someone else's feedback. Like, I've done some research myself, but I still don't know. Like, so essentially, real quick, when I'm either in, I want to say, like, a right spot or something that could be going in a positive direction for me, I get what I call is like phantom droplets. And I'm really like spiritual now, so I have like a big belief that like I have ancestral spirit guides and whatnot that are with me, and every time that I try to start having a conversation with them, I'll start getting these phantom droplets. It feels like little sprinkles of rain on your arm or your head, but there's no water in sight anywhere.
Wow.
So like I would love to, be able to sit down, talk to her, and maybe get some more feedback on that, and possibly some other things as well. And I appreciate you throwing that out there for me.
Yeah, of course. I just happened to be thinking about that as you were speaking. Mr. Barber, what do you feel about me making sure Shane gets a chance to talk to Susie? And also, what do you think might be occurring with, per se, the phantom droplets he had referred to?
I think with Susie would be amazing, because if you have any unanswered questions, she may be able to help you.
Yep.
She's
Definitely.
she's hit on several things that I'll give you a real short instance, where she was telling me that my dad, who had passed on, was behind me and wearing a white shirt with stains on it. Well, if you look through my photo albums and anybody else's photo albums, my dad only wore blue work uniforms. That's the only pictures you'll find of him. But for Father's Day one year, I bought him a white, it was a Granger brand t-shirt, and he would wear that as a dress shirt. And then what happened was, when he passed, I took that shirt and I was working on cars with it to remind me of him, and I got a little oil on it. Once I got those oil stains on it, I wrapped it and then I put it away with the rest of his belongings. So she picked up on the white shirt with stains with him wearing it. Nobody else would have got that.
That's
Nobody else.
amazing, man.
Yeah.
Thank
I've
you for
dealt with
sharing
several.
that. So,
No, I've dealt with a few psychics who have been very, very good, but nobody's ever picked up on that detail.
yeah, that just
So,
gave me chills, man. That's awesome, bro. I'm glad you got to experience that.
and the phantom droplets. I mean, it could be, dependent on the energy around. Maybe it's your son's energy and tears that he knows you're in pain over this. So, I mean, it
Right,
could be she's going to be. That's a wild, astronomical, universal guess. She's going to be
right.
able to nail it down for you.
Yeah, yeah. The Phantom droplets. I should have mentioned beforehand that that these also took place before my son's passing. But they might have upgraded a little more. Like I noticed that, like, so I'm big on vibration and frequency, that type of thing, and I think that when my frequency is at a certain level, I tend to get them more. Like when I'm in a good mood for no reason, and like butterflies will just be following me around, stuff like that. Like I know it sounds silly, like a Disney movie, but like stuff like that. Like when I'm in a really good mood for no reason, I'll tend to get more of them. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel the drops hit you, or do you think it could possibly be energy, like heat being converted to sweat, just because your vibration's coming up?
I thought of that before, but there's times when I'm like where I can be cold, I can be hot, I can be driving in a car, all windows all the way up, and it can be the hot summer day, and I can get them inside your car per se, but you won't feel them, only I'll feel them, or at least that's been my experience so far. No one else has ever felt them with me. It's only been myself.
Yeah, I would talk to if you get a chance, and I'm sure LordeStarfox will be able to hook you up. You'll get some answers and probably some relief.
Yeah, thank
And
you, man. I appreciate you guys.
praying you do.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, as soon as we wrap this up here, before Mr. Barber and I jump on with Miss Barb Hartman and start talking about some insane snake encounters, I will open up a chat for you on Facebook with Susie, and she'll answer you very quickly. I have a podcast actually with her tomorrow night, and Brian as well. So for some reason, if she hasn't reached out to you by then, we'll give her a little bit of an update. She will definitely be in touch with you. And I'll also open up a chat, like I said, with Mr. Barber. So that way you and him can schedule some times where you can pop over onto Bigfoot's barber shop and hang out with him for a bit, dive into some of the other things you'd like to talk about, because that's what I try to surround myself with. Is I am just so imploded with brain knowledge about what's happening with the Dogman stuff, missing people, all of this, that I don't have any more capacity in my head to fill it with anything else at the moment. But that's why I make sure to have people such as Brian and Barb and everybody else that's part of the Midnight Society that can help out individuals, because most of my team, I would actually probably say all of my team, takes interest in numerous aspects, meaning all my scientists, just because they work with me here on the topics I mentioned, they work with other people on other topics, other paranormal, other cryptid stuff. So yeah, definitely, man, they will be able to help you out for sure.
I had one quick question I just wanted to ask you. I just want to throw this out there. What would you ever be up for, like possibly going for like a camping trip, or even just like a day hiking trip to some of these possible locations if we had possible time or funding? Would you ever be into that?
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely set up something for you and accompany you. You're going to chuckle. I'm a little bit more of the intel guy and the analytics guy. I do have team members up here, though, that would also be able to accompany us, that I have a little bit more knowledge of tracking and such. So, yeah, man, we could definitely set up something like that for sure.
That'd be awesome, man. I love any chance I can be out in nature. So anything like that, if it ever comes up, make sure to throw me a bone and let me come with you, man. All right.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will touch base with you here sooner than later. I have a whole file of things up here in Maine that have occurred that are super bizarre. And I actually covered two of them personally. One that occurred near the big ice cream dipper shop I'll have to tell you about, and also another one that occurred near Rangeley, man. Pretty bizarre stuff, dude.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'll let you get going to your other podcast, man. I'm glad you had me on, and I had a great time, man. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, no, for sure. My creatures of the night. Yes, you did hear that Mr. Barrows does have other things he needs to attend to, yet you will be able to hear more from him, of course, over on the Bigfoot Barber Shop good old YouTube thread. That will be up in the description of the video as always. And you know this by now. Bigfoot's Barbershop is a weekly host times two. Make sure to check out his playlist down below that we've already had a ton of accumulated episodes that will only be added to sooner than later. Yeah, until next time, if I do fear anything, it is the sunlight, and I can feel my skin burning. Mr. Barrows, thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, man. And one last thing. Oh, oh,
I
I thought
love
I
it.
had to end it well, man.
Mr. Barber, thank you too for hanging out, bro.
My pleasure as always, and prayers, peace, and love to you, Shane.
Thank you, man. You too, brother. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, you legends, you. I do adore all my creatures of the night. And thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the truth to the algorithm. And I will catch you very soon.